Okay, I thought I would make a quick video about the illusion of the golf swing, where people often go wrong, causing them lots and lots of problems. So let's get on with it. All I've got to hand, as it happens, is some cigarettes, so they'll have to do, so you have to bear with me. Okay, so let's take the average golf swing as most people perceive it to be. Okay, so here's a golf club in the address position, but I'm going to do it flat just so that we can, as if we're looking down on the top of the golf swing. Okay, so the golf ball is going to be in this area here, and this is the grip of the club. Okay, now people think that they have to swing the club around to 90 degrees and then continue to swing the club around behind them to about 180 degrees, and then obviously finish, get to the top of their backswing with the club somewhere behind the back of their neck, kind of, you know, parallel to the target line. Anyway, so what they think is that when they're over the ball, that they're going to swing the club and their arms and everything around through 90, 180, 270 degrees. Which actually isn't true. That doesn't actually happen in the golf swing. These two positions here don't actually exist. The golf swing takes place very much more laterally and to the side of us. What actually happens is, from address, we swing the club 90 degrees to a position known as P2, where the club is parallel to the line of our toes, and parallel to the target line and parallel to the ground. Okay, and from there what actually happens is we actually hinge the club up and over into the top of our backswing position, which is over this side. That would be parallel to the ground. I would probably personally stop a bit short of that position because I don't like to overswing, so I like to keep it nice and short, to keep my arms in front of me a little bit more. So I would swing, I would take it around to 90 degrees, and then the club comes up and over. Okay, at no stage would you even be thinking about the club swinging around behind you all the way around, because that's basically physically impossible. So let's take a look at that actual movement as if we were making a proper golf swing. Okay, so now we're going to be looking down towards the target. So here's me, you're standing behind me, and I'm addressing the golf ball, and my club is approximately 45 to 50 degrees to the ground. Okay, so what I need to do is I'm going to swing the club up to P2 so that it's now parallel to the ground, pointing at the camera, parallel to the target line, and about waist high. Okay, from here, now this end here, so if I can get my finger there, this end down, this end here, that's the head of the club. Okay, so I'm going to swing to P2, which is up in this position, so I swing up to P2, and from there what I'm going to do is I'm going to now stop you from being able to see the club head by swinging it away from you and up behind my head. Okay, up over my right shoulder. Okay, now what most people perceive would actually happen is that they actually will swing the club probably on the plane that the club is set, so they tend to do this, and then they swing the club around behind them and try to then lift it and get it up behind their head. Okay, which is wrong. Now many people also turn the club around very low, okay, and swing the club around behind them so it's almost horizontal to the ground, and then they have to lift it up and they get across the line at the top, so the club, instead of pointing this way, is now pointing this way, and they have to do all sorts of magic to get back down to impact by steepening the club, try and drop it in behind them, early extending, all sorts of issues. Okay, because what they're basically doing is they're thinking that they have to swing the club, shaft, and their arms and everything around behind them to make a swing. Okay, Now that's not how it is. What we do is the swing takes place very much on this side, okay, and not on this side, okay. So again, we will swing the club up to P2, so there's vertical, so that it's horizontal to the ground, parallel to the ground, parallel to the target line, and then we stop the camera from being able to see the club head, okay, by continuing to turn the club up and over, so that it's now over our right shoulder. Okay, so it's very much this kind of move, and at no stage does the club come back in this area. Now, if you, for example, were swinging a wedge, so you'd be standing a little bit closer, perhaps the shaft would be a bit steeper. Once you get to P2, you could probably swing it up almost to the 12 o'clock position, maybe the 11 o'clock position. Okay, if you were swinging, say, a 7-iron, then you would get to P2, and from there you would pretty much swing it to about the 11 o'clock position, maybe the 10:30 position. And if you were swinging, say, a driver, then you swing to P2, and it would probably go up somewhere closer to the 10 o'clock position, maybe the 11 o'clock position, depending on how you actually stand at address. Now, the P2 position really should be pointing straight at the camera. The club will be in line with your toe line. Okay, so when you bring the club up to about waist high, it's going to be pretty much across the line of your toes. But it's not necessarily true for all swings. For example, someone who makes a really big shoulder turn, they might have a P2 position where the club is slightly outside their hands. Someone who doesn't make a very big shoulder turn at all, maybe they're limited in some way, may well have their P2 position so their club is slightly more inside, which is going to bring the club up more this way, but the feeling still remains that from whichever P2 position that you're actually in, I prefer just to get straight down the toe line, but you're still going to feel that you're hinging the club and your arms coming up away from the camera, okay,